The year is 1977. Max, a young man trapped in a world of silence, stared out the window of the Utah State Mental Hospital. Diagnosed as autistic and mute, he had been a resident there since 1967. 10 years of his life had been swallowed by this institution. Max longed to understand why he was here. What had he done to deserve this confinement? He couldn't ask. He couldn't speak. His world was a silent film, full of emotions he couldn't express. Frustration gnawed at him, a constant companion. It manifested in ways even he didn't fully understand. Angry outbursts, withdrawn silences, and a deep, abiding loneliness. Max wasn't like the other patients. He wasn't crazy. He just couldn't communicate like they did. He observed them, their erratic behaviors both fascinating and frightening. They were lost in their own worlds, their minds playing cruel tricks on them. He, on the other hand, was lost in a different way, trapped in a prison of silence, yearning for a voice that could break free. The Utah State Mental Hospital stood on the outskirts of Provo, a sprawling complex of brick and concrete. It was a place that time had forgotten. The paint peeled, the floors creaked, and the air hung heavy with the scent of disinfectant and despair. The days bled into one another, marked only by the clanging of meal carts and the echoing calls of orderlies. The routines were rigid, designed to control rather than heal. It was a place where hope went to die. Max spent his days wandering the sterile corridors, avoiding the gaze of the other patients. He found solace in the hospital library, a dusty haven filled with forgotten books. He devoured novels, biographies, and anything that offered a glimpse into the world outside. He yearned for that world, a world of color and sound that he could only experience through the written word. But the hospital walls held him captive, a constant reminder of his isolation.
Max, I want to help you. I see you and I know there's so much more to you than what others see.
Dr. Alex Granger was different. Young and idealistic, he had arrived at the hospital determined to make a difference. He saw past Max's silence, recognizing the intelligence and sensitivity that lay beneath the surface.
Let's start with something simple. This is the sign for hello.
Dr. Granger introduced Max to sign language, patiently teaching him the intricate movements that could give voice to his thoughts. It was a slow and arduous process, but Max embraced it with a desperate hunger. For the first time in years, he had a way to communicate. He could express his frustration, his confusion, and his longing.
Max, why are you here? What happened?
He could finally ask the question that had haunted him for so long. Why was he here? Dr. Granger listened patiently, his brow furrowed in thought.
I promise, Max, I'll find out. We'll uncover the truth behind your confinement.
A bond of trust began to form between them, a lifeline of hope in a sea of despair. Max's memories of his life before the hospital were fragmented, like pieces of a shattered mirror. He remembered a loving mother, a stern father, and a cozy house filled with the aroma of freshly baked cookies. But there were other memories too, darker and more disturbing. Memories of being labeled as different, of being unable to control his emotions, of terrifying outbursts that left him feeling ashamed and alone. He couldn't understand why he was like this, why he couldn't be like other children. His parents, desperate for answers, had sought help from doctors and specialists, but no one seemed to understand. He was a medical mystery, a puzzle that no one could solve. In their desperation, they had turned to the Utah State Mental Hospital, hoping against hope that someone, somewhere, could help their son.